Tracy did on it tomorrow.
Huh?
We'll talk later.
Yeah, I just texted Michelle, she should get back with me in the morning.
Okay. No, we're waiting for them. We're waiting for them.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Ask you to please silence your cell phone and then join us in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please, would you please call the roll?
Darcy Kaplan,
Here.
Angela Brown. Here. Jenny Slows.
Here.
Tara Shields. Jasper Christopher.
Here.
Keith Gosha.
I'm going to go ahead and read the adopted policy. I see some new faces. Adopted policy of the Berlin Township Zoning Commission is that each applicant or agenda item will be given 10 minutes or at the discretion of the chairperson to make a formal presentation. Chair will allow questions from the commission members in order to provide a timely and orderly discussion of business for consideration. Finally, the audience will then be given up to 3 minutes or at the discretion of the chairperson for each speaker to respond. Chairperson may limit repetitive debate, and all comments from the audience must be addressed to the chairperson. Can you verify that this meeting was advertised, Lisa?
Yes, in the February 20th, 2024 Delaware Gazette.
Thank you. We have meeting minutes from February 27th. Do you have permission for approval of those minutes?
I'll motion to approve BZC meeting minutes, February 27th, 2024, as submitted.
Second motion.
Okay, Mr. DeChristopher.
Yes.
Ms. Slows.
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Kaplan.
Yes. All right, before us we have BZC 23-001. This was filed by CBS Construction LLC at 7864 Gateway Lane, Cal, Ohio, 43065. This applicant is submitting a final development plan of 20 single-family lots on a parcel of not agreed, Hyatt Road, Delaware, Ohio, plus or minus 15.2 acres, is zoned R3 and overlay with the planned residential district known as the Oaks at Berlin. So, you guys want to go ahead and make your presentation?
Well, I can pass this in as he's getting up. This is just a printed copy of our presentation, just in case you're looking at anything closer. Everybody wants to have it. Okay, Anabagos, 4876 Cemetery Road in Hilliard. I work for Bears Planning and Design, and we are coming to you today with the final development plan application for the Oaks at Berlin. The first half of the presentation is generally the large items that I want to go through, and the second half is kind of supplemental information, just so you're aware. But go to the next one. Our site is located just a little bit north of here, across the street, across Hyatt Road from Olentangy Berlin Middle School, and close next door to the Glen Mead development. This site,
Can we go forward?
yes, please.
Okay.
I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with the site. This is basically, it's a 20-unit residential development. We're just coming in with the residential portion of this site. The commercial is not part of this application. for the final development plan. And it's located again on Pyatt Road, and this road here is an extension of the Glenbrook Drive from the Glenmead development. Our site contains amenities as well as the 20 units with the proposed basin, the playground and shelter, along with buffering along the north, east, and south, which consists of plantings and mounding along the north and east, and then fencing along the south to delineate the space between our units and this detention basin area behind them. You can go to the next one. So since you all have seen this plan last, it's gone through and gotten approval from the trustees. And we just wanted to go over a couple of the changes that have happened since then. One of the bigger ones is that the CBU location, it has changed. I believe last time you saw it, it was around here. And it is now on the north side of Glenbrook Drive in the PCD lot in an easement. This was determined through conversations we had with a meeting with one of the trustees, Ron Bullard, I believe, and the Delaware County Engineer's Office. So it was determined that we would place the CBU mailbox location here, and then also widen the road so that parking can happen on both sides of the street. Which leads into the next, from the intersection here at Pyatt, about over to lot 19, the road will be a 36-foot width, and then we'll taper down to be 27 the rest of the way. And then we also agreed to add a crosswalk right here on the south side of the intersection, connecting our pathways over into the school's multi-use path. And then lastly, our landscape has been slightly modified. The amount of trees you see is the same as what it was approved on the preliminary plan, but based on our final species selections, the spacing and sizing has changed. And then we've also added some shrub plantings, perennial plantings around our seating areas, and added some additional plantings into the entry feature. And then, speaking of entry feature, when we were going through our, putting together the PowerPoint today, we realized that some of our plantings were inside of our right of way. I wanted to point that out to you. We have revised that on some of our sheets that I've brought here with me, and I can hand out to everybody. But basically, we just had some of our shrubs and perennials inside there, which we have pushed outside of our right of way to comply. And I can hand you those exhibits as well. And then for the next, that is the bulk of my new information for you. If you have any questions for me, we can do hand these out.
So is this replacing one of the documents in here?
This one? Yes, it is.
So the detail?
Yes.
Anybody want to start with questions?
I can comment.
Go ahead.
I didn't really have any questions. I looked through your initial plan, your final plan, what the trustees' comments were, what our comments were. And I'll be honest, it seems like you covered everything from the standpoint of meeting what the trustees requested of you, meeting what we requested of you. There weren't any variations that were, when I looked through the numbers, I didn't find that you changed this number or that number on dimensions or anything from final development unless it was called for. So I really didn't have any extra questions. I thought your final development plan was good. So.
Sure. I know that, for the side load garages, 5 of them have to be, or are gonna be side load. Do you know which lots those are gonna be, or any idea?
We have not called out the specific lots, we just have the, is it 25%, equaling our 5 lots.
Okay. With the parking going down 2 sides, so is that gonna end like around lot 19 where it gets smaller? How is that gonna be? Where is that gonna end?
Basically, it's 36 to about here-ish, and then it tapers right there. So 36 was our width to be able to park on both sides, so it should end right around where the lots start.
Okay.
And then just switch to one side of the road. And so that widening was mainly for the parking for the mail. So generally, it was expected that any 2-sided parking in this area would happen around the mail anyways, because besides these areas, there isn't much of a reason to park along the commercial area.
Todd Ferris with Ferris Planning and Design. Part of the comments that we received from the trustees as well is that there would be an easement on the daycare site that these people could actually go in that parking lot and park and get their mail. So there's some reciprocity that's happening there. This new standard for 36 feet wide for parking on both sides is going to be applied, I think, in most places for the CDUs because of ADA, whether they're parking on one side or the other, they want to accommodate that. And this also had another function. We needed 3 lanes because they wanted to account for the traffic that might come out of that daycare center. So that's why it's 3 lanes that far back. Normally it would be. But we've committed to that being our general location.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know how confusing it would be, because I know even like in my neighborhood, people tend to just park on both sides anyway, and then have traffic like leaving. And I didn't know if it would be, I mean, obviously there will be some signage like saying that it's in the county code or whoever, saying that you can't park on the one side, but I was just curious where that ended.
Yeah, there'll be signs posted on the fire hydrant side.
Yeah, okay. And then with the, I guess I haven't really seen, or maybe I haven't noticed, but with around the CBU, having like the designated spots for that. So how many spots are you gonna have like designated for the mail? 2?
I have an exhibit in here of the Delaware County Engineer Standards.
I guess I haven't really seen that anymore.
Should be there's another exhibit, and I don't think it's included, that show the parking spaces.
I see D6 where
Yes,
there's a sign, like, you know.
On D3, we have a exhibit with detail 5, outlining generally it's gonna have about 3 spaces and one of them being ADA.
But that's only on the one side, like the ones on the other side are not designated for the mail, it's just the ones above it in the city. Okay. And then. So. This is, looking at the HOA rule, so I was noticing, because I was just curious, like if there was a mention of what the annual assessment would be, because this is a pretty small neighborhood. It isn't listed, it just basically says that, the board can come up with an annual assessment based on the costs or whatever and divide it, but is there a maximum? There's no maximum listed, which, I don't know, like, I would assume that could be kind of dangerous for the residents. As a resident, I just hate that there's like the ability for there not to be some control on that. Like in our HOA, there's some provision that if the residents want to challenge the board to, they can come with a certain number of votes and challenge that in some way. And with such a small HOA, there'd be, I don't know.
Right. Nice screensaver. I don't have an answer for you on that. Obviously, everybody wants it to be as small as possible. The HOA
Yeah,
gets turned over to the homeowners. At some point. And then you control that.
Well, the board does, right?
The board
That's like a small number of people that could say, well, so next year it's gonna be $400 more, and then the home, like, if you're not on the board, you're just paying that amount. Not having a way to challenge that.
Right, there's a relatively small amount of common area.
Yeah,
The mowing costs aren't gonna be that much. Probably the biggest expense is gonna be dealing with the mulching, remulching that part of it.
and that's not shared with the daycare, wouldn't be like, that's just the residential, so, okay. All right. Yeah, I just didn't know what the pond,
Everybody
that's limited.
Yeah, everybody that buys in here, when they get to that point, they're gonna wanna know too. So I'm sure all will have that figured out at that point, because, they haven't even had bids put together for maintenance costs or anything.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right. I don't have anything else.
Along the front where you're showing all the trees, is there going to be some type of fence there as well? Because I know we're gonna be in the fence along the south side back into Glenmead, but will there be a fence along the front? So like,
Along here?
not along there, but just something along with the bushes that are right there?
Please.
Yeah, the greenery, the sign, is there an intention to do? I just was curious.
We do have a fence proposed, it's just a little
Just right there,
decorative
okay.
kind of thing
I
for
couldn't
the
tell if it
trees.
was really there.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't really have questions per se. I don't know whether the trustees had called this out or not, I haven't looked at those notes, but, with those parking spaces where the mailboxes are gonna go, it would be nice to have, and again, I don't know how much we can say because that's technically roads, even though it's parking spaces. If there could be like an outline or some way to designate that both sides of those, that really is their spots, I guess.
Right.
So that traffic isn't trying to speed into that area. That it's truly, it's not like you're going down the street and all of a sudden you have to put over quickly because there's a car, like understanding that truly is a parking lane, I guess would be nice on both sides. And again, that's just the marks with the paint on, and yeah, I mean, those are really my only call outs. I'm pretty happy with this overall.
Yeah, we get quite a few, you understand your trustees are very concerned about this, right?
Yes, yeah.
So we had a lot of conversations with them, but as Anna said, we went and met with the county engineer. Rob Riley was in this and for CBUs, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
To talk about this, and it actually got them to come up with a standard detail that you see now, because they needed to address it, so they've adopted this, so you'll see this, that they're gonna have to do everywhere. They said, we can't prohibit people parking in front of there because it's a public street.
Sure.
We're gonna put a sign there that says temporary parking, but it's not enforceable. It's a,
No, it's not.
we're gonna do it. And it's, it's their attempt to resolve the mail dilemma.
So what was the problem with putting it back closer to the trail going back to the kitty area?
There were concerns from the trustees about you not being able to see areas along the curve as well, if there were people crossing. And they were concerned that people were going to be driving kind of fast in that area as well. We had talked about a bunch of different solutions, and this is kind of what worked best with the engineering office and with the trustees.
Okay. I mean, to me, honestly, it just feels like further in makes more sense from the perspective of it's closer to all the houses, so you're more likely to walk there, versus walking out towards the main road, but,
Yeah, and I think a lot of the decision, and I totally agree, that's why we had it in the back.
Yeah,
But I need to get a vote for,
sure, to get it.
the biggest thing is the fact that there's gonna be that daycare there with a parking lot. So
Yeah.
they saw that people that did not want to park on the street, the handicap, people that Ron likes to talk about, could go and park in the parking lot there, walk from the parking lot, because we've agreed in the commercial to have an access from that to and an easement. So
Okay.
that,
There will be
that's
a
where the kind of-
sidewalk, there will be a sidewalk then from the parking lot to the mailbox. Okay.
Correct.
All right. That's all I had, yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Some of this I know was probably we covered when we did our preliminary, but the proposed basin, that is a detention pond, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because basins is obviously a detention pond. There's that in there. Do you know, and I couldn't find it, it might be here, the size of the shelter that you're proposing?
20 by 20.
On the detail.
Yeah, it's on the details. It's on the-
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay, thank you. Really, I don't have any questions either. You really did a good job of keeping the commitments you made early on. I know you made some maneuvering to please our trustees, and that's good. I guess the crosswalk that's going across Hyatt, and I realize that's not part of your development per se. That's what, a 45 or 55 mile an hour road?
It's 45.
Is it 45? I mean, do they say you've got to have flashing lights or anything, or?
They have discussed that. Ultimately, they will make a final decision at some point where that could be, that's called a hot signal, where that may be needed, but currently it's just.
Yeah, because that's obviously going to be busy, and that's a fast-moving road, so I like crosswalks, but I also don't like getting run over, so I wonder how they're going to do that.
But I do think because of the proximity to the school, that during school times, it would be considered 25.
Probably.
Because Berlin is, the
Yeah.
Meadows, or the middle school would be directly across from that.
Yeah.
So it would be within that school
makes
zone
sense.
that would be, it should have the warning lights.
The county engineer has got us on board with that. Now, this may come up with part of your development.
I mean, I know it's not our purview, I'm just like,
Yeah, I would
wonder.
Because it's also the right turning lane coming out of the school, and it's
Yeah.
people will, like, people, even though that's 20 miles an hour during school, like, people are like trying to get out of there.
But yeah, it's out of our hands, so we will belabor that. If we don't have any more questions, I see we have some audience members. I'm not sure if there are people who would like to comment. If there are, when you make your comments, please give us your name and your address. Anybody want to speak?
I'll speak.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Roger Allen. I live at 3369 Western Pine North, which is actually just a continuation of Glenbrook there. So I wanted to raise a couple of concerns I had. I just moved in March, so I wasn't here for the last week. But I wanted to call out a few things. So first and foremost, I had a question whether the development here in the consideration of the R3 lot size took into consideration all the Old Tennessee School District challenges that we've had with providing schooling for our children in the area. So as you all know, we've gone through redistricting, and we, Cheshire specifically, is currently at 130%. It is being redistricted. It will be going down, but however, the current projection scales with ongoing development, they'll be back at 130% within 5 years. So the lot size is a great concern for us in terms of setting a precedent within this area that has now been R2 through the entire jurisdiction. I think this sets a precedent to bring other developers in who they can develop another R2 lot size. Additionally, I had some concern with the traffic. So we talked about the 45-mile speed limit. Obviously, this is going to be bringing in quite a bit more traffic, more people going through. I don't know if you've ever tried to turn left on Hyatt in the morning during school hours. It's near impossible. I've actually had a result of going down Cheshire to be able to leave my neighborhood. And frankly, I just don't feel like that's adequate. And I think bringing in the small lot sizes, higher density housing is going to further conflate that. I also have to review the traffic analysis that was done. One of the key things I noticed within the traffic analysis they did a PM peak analysis. and it was done in March. Unless you do a PM peak analysis during football season, you're not gonna get much traffic. I would ask that it's reconsidered to be done during the AM hours when we have our highest density of traffic. To further understand this impact, especially bringing in a commercial facility, and adding even more foot traffic, and traffic to that area. You know, with that key aspect, you know, I think that when you look at the safety concerns of this, I think this is a material inference, and I think it should be taken into consideration forward. And yeah, it's just a lot of concerns from myself. And again, I'm my driver, I'm a community member, but I'm also a board member representing the other 65 members of the community. So.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other audience comments or questions? No?
I do have a question. Scott Carr, 3207 Glenmead. It's KARR. When the board is making these decisions, do you have any kind of interaction, any kind of consultation with the Board of Education?
Sorry, did you say the Board of Education?
Correct, yeah.
So that's an interesting question. We have purview solely over zoning, and some developers do make the choice to sort of dialogue with the board, and sometimes even letters are presented, you know, with them saying why they think it would be a good idea or not a good idea. But wholly, it's not one of the things that we actually consider. I mean, it's something we dialogue about, but at the end of the day, it's not what we make our decision based on.
Okay. Was there any dialogue on that our district spoke?
Can I actually make a comment on that?
Yeah, please.
So Olin Tangi, superintendent and the Board of Education actually take into account all of the developments that are in process as well as everything that is planned. So indirectly, yes, it is being taken into consideration. So that even with what you look is on the March ballot, they are looking at the future projections for all of the projected developments that are going on throughout the entire school district. So it truly is already accounted for in their numbers when you look at what the numbers are projected to go up for the next 5 years.
Okay, so
It's that situation where it's hard to believe, honestly. And I don't want to get myself into trouble and say too much of my own opinion, but it, as a community member, it definitely is something that we think about it from a board perspective, and we think about it from a community member as well, because obviously we all live within the township, and a lot of us have school-age children as well, and Open Tangi that's busting at the seams, so.
and then just one more question. In regard to zoning laws in Berlin Township, is that your responsibility as a board's responsibility to make sure that's enforced?
Yes.
Okay, so single family housing. So our school district is funded off of property taxes, correct?
Mhm.
So when we have 3 families in one home, that leaves 2 families unaccounted for when it comes to funding. More high density housing, we're gonna run into that more and more often. Is that taken into consideration? Any kind of discussion?
I'm trying to understand your
My
question.
my biggest concern is what's gonna do to the school district. Well, Cheshire is already at 130% capacity. The new school's gonna be at capacity, this school's gonna be back at capacity. So I guess my question is, what decision-making criteria do you apply when going through your decision-making process when you approve development such as this?
Well, it's a big process. Let's start with that. But we have got our zoning resolution, and we have to follow, of course, Ohio law. And the developers come in, is our hope on this side of the table, that they bring in a plan that complies with all those things.
Sure.
And if they comply, we can, along with neighbors, help to negotiate palatable and things that enhance our community and our way of life. But if they are following the resolutions and the law and our planning map, it's really kind of incumbent on us to permit that. Ohio is what we call it right to build state. I love the green space, right? But I don't own the green space,
Right.
so
And really, these are just questions out here.
Yeah, no, well, hey,
I'm just trying to figure out.
we're in need of a couple, positions to be filled in the zoning.
No, I'm very interested, yeah.
From that side as well.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's why I'm here, so I want to learn more about the process and understand where, where these decisions are made. At what point we decide that this is best for the entire community or just select few. So, yeah, I'm extremely interested.
Anybody else want to?
There's also the comprehensive plan, which looks at, planning, and we just revised that, was it last year? But we involved the community in that and asked for input both in our zoning code as well as that comprehensive plan, and we encourage when that comes back around to get people on board with participating in that.
Sure.
But as far as the impact on schools, we, as members of the community, we do think about that, but we can't, while we understand your concerns, that wouldn't be something that we could necessarily deny an application based upon. The school has to react to that.
But didn't the comprehensive plan kind of dictate the philosophy of what we were, putting lots at in an R2 size? Where did the philosophy change to now allow R3?
So it's not so much that, okay, so it's not so much that the area was an R2 size. It's that developers, when Glen Mead was created, they wanted to have larger lots. So it wasn't that was the standard for the area. It was actually that it was a development that they wanted to have larger lots. But for years now, we've had closer to a mix between 1 acre lots and closer to half acre to, quarter acre lots, trying not to get them down fully to quarter acre lots.
So can I just counter on that point? So yes, Glen Mead, the Pines, basically every housing development in here is around a half acre lot. This is one of the very first R3 lots in this entire area. To the point that there's the proposed smallest lot in this new development is 41% smaller than Glen, smallest lot in Glen. They have an average 23% reduced lot size across the entire Glen Mead average, even the encompassing the larger lots. So we're not just talking a little small, we're talking significantly smaller. And it just seems like it's such a change in deviation from every other housing development. I'm just curious, where did that philosophy change?
So if you actually look, you're looking at a very small area right there. I know that it doesn't feel small, but the area that you're speaking to is actually a very small area compared to the much greater area outside of, on the other side of the train tracks and on the other side of Robert, God, why did I just forget the name of that road? Just beyond Berlin Station Road and everywhere else. So once you kind of look a little bit further than that, you'll see that the lots outside of rural lots, of course, are actually closer to the size of these. And we did go back, we removed a decent number of lots from what was initially proposed because we strongly encouraged the ability to, and if you look at, you might not have this, I just went back and I was measuring again, watching the back of Glen Mead versus these lots, and it's a 1-for-1, and actually the other side of Glen Mead, it's kind of funny because there's actually 2 lots that cover the first lot. Can you pull that up right there? So the first lot in the neighborhood, there's actually 2 lots in Glen Mead that are against that very first lot, and after that, the lots are lined up 1-for-1 along the back. And there is a decent amount of space. What we wanted to make sure of course, is that was the way that, that flowed, and it is pretty similar against the back. So I think we did allow a couple of smaller lots in there, but that was simply because otherwise we were gonna end up with, right, it's a compromise overall. So it was what's going to work for, what can the township compromise on versus what can the planning company compromise on and the owner of the.
So I guess my concern as a resident of the township is obviously just setting a precedent, right? I'm moving out here to get away from, high density housing, to get away from, the city. I wanted to get further out, more rural, larger lots. When I moved in and moved out here, that's what was present. It's disappointing for me to see this transition, this change in philosophy. And I'm just mostly hopeful that this doesn't set a precedent and you don't have a lot of developers coming here and trying to build high density throughout and just changing what I thought I was doing.
It is absolutely our top priority to not make this a high density area,
Thank you.
so.
Could I say something? Yeah. So across the street, Howard Farms is an R4. Maid Meadows is an R3. Berlin Bluffs is gonna be an R3.
Yep.
Pyatt Preserve West, I believe, is an R4, and Pyatt Preserve East is an R3. Then we've got the Pines and Glenmead R2. So right in this area, there is a variety of different densities. Berlin Manor is R2. So, I mean, it's just not, I don't think we're setting.
And those are, the R2s were meant to be more estate lots. So the higher priced home lots, so.
Are there other comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My name is Dinesh. I'm in 225 in Glenville Drive. So the question I have was, will there be any fence going to be built between Glenville community and the new reconstruction community to separate out those two? And also, where they're going to be, is it going to be where that fence was and then the construction starts, or they can be on the system?
So would you like to answer that question?
I think it's more about your timeline and phasing.
Todd Ferris, the Ferris Planning and Design. The roadway will be built in one phase. It doesn't make much sense to mobilize multiple times for that little piece of roadway. So that'll be built in one phase, and all the lots will be for sale at that point in time. The lots will be built on as they are sold. I don't believe that this developer is going to do speculative building. As far as the landscaping and buffering, there's a mound that we proposed along the east portion of our property that would back up to the existing lots at Glenmead. That has a combination of evergreen trees, shade trees, and ornamental trees. I don't believe we have a fence along that property line. We were asked to do a fence along the southern property line to keep our children from running into that detention basin that's to the south, so it wouldn't be a hazard to them. But there isn't one around each property.
There will be no fence.
No fence?
No fence, just mounting and trees.
What's the height of the mountain?
It's 3-4 feet.
3-4 feet?
Do you want to show them where on there?
The south side fence is only 3 feet, and there's a, let's say, probably 8 to 10 inch gap.
Basically, the eastern side over here is where that 3 to 4 foot mounding is along the plantings, and then the south side is the one here that has the fencing along the entirety from this property line over to the first lot, and then it also has plantings, but no mounting.
How far is the proposed little playground from the water to the south of it? What's the scale of that?
From, I don't know the exact from the playground, but from the corner of the shelter to the property line is 50 feet. So it's greater than 50 feet. That's from our property line though, and the water is more like here. I don't have that measured, but.
Because that falls under the property of the Lemmy Homeowners Association, correct? That retention pond.
Yes, there'll be a fence between there to keep our children from getting into that pond.
Because I think that would be highlighted if you, I was just wondering, thank you.
Yeah, so the pond actually ends quite a bit before. It's about 1.5 lots before the playground.
Yeah. I'm just kind of wondering what that would look like.
What does Glenmere do about your children getting into the pond? You guys have a fence or how's that look?
Most of the houses.
Well, that's a rhetorical question, I understand where you're going with that, thank you.
I'm just curious.
Do you know who that builder will be at for this?
The building will be Trivital.
Oh,
They're a
okay.
building company.
Oh, okay.
Construction.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for a large name to come out.
No, no.
That's nice.
They didn't look like
That's
everything
actually
else.
nice, yes.
They
I don't
didn't
know
look
if you
like
are,
everything
but that's
else.
amazing. That's wonderful. Okay.
Okay, do we have any other audience participation?
Cosmic questions. My name is Ganesh, I live in T127 Regular Meeting. On the back of the community, the new proposal, we mentioned that it's gonna be a mound and stuff right there. Is there an option instead of a mound, can you put some tree or guava trees for privacy per se? Because the lot number 11, 12, that they're putting are very close to the other houses, like 3 or 4 houses. I'm just wondering if we can put some pretty decent tree here to cover the area. Most of amount.
We're currently showing buffering that was requested for during the zoning process on that mound, so it is there.
Okay.
We're including it.
Sir, I'm sorry, can I get your name and address again?
Ganesh Kumar, Ganesh Kumar, 3127 Glenmead.
3127 Glenmead,
Yes.
thank you.
I think if you look at this page, it's most of the way back. And it's, let me see, one,
So I thought I saw
four. Yeah,
Yeah.
so 4 pages from the back, you can see the kind of the circular area, how there's, what is that, 4 levels of circles? And then it's showing on top of it, it's showing little round areas. Those are all the different types of trees on there. So you have the mound, and then there's also the numbers that go along with the trees. Those are actually in the key below, where it calls up the plant list.
Yeah, when I looked at this, I don't know where I saw it's somewhere around less than 2 feet, so that's why I was asking the question. So it's like 2.5 feet.
So that's the thickness at planting.
Yes.
So that is the thickness of the trunk when it's planted. That doesn't necessarily mean how tall it is. It's a landscaping size.
Perfect,
Yeah.
So, and then that tree would eventually grow to whatever its, I guess, maturity.
Correct.
So typically when we call out things in the zoning, we look at kind of the size at planting, and it typically has to do with the trunk thickness. Then we put minimums around those.
Yeah,
So that they aren't planting like a 2-foot tree at the time of planting, it has to be bigger.
right, a 2.5-inch caliper tree, that's measured at the base, that's probably depending on the species, a 15 to a 20-foot tall tree. The evergreen trees we have shown at 5 to 6 feet, that's just how you buy those in height. So they're going in at 5 to 6 feet height. And those typically, all of these things usually grow about a foot. So they're a lot bigger.
Unless there's further question from the audience, close the audience comments. Going once, going twice. We have before us an applicant who is requesting approval of this final development.
Sorry, just, can I read this?
Uh-oh, you're reading.
No, it's okay, it's Tara.
Oh.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna read that whole thing.
caliber trees.
Yeah, she was talking about the caliper trees. She's watching, she was telling me about the caliper trees. So, yeah,
Okay.
we're good. It's
She's
very close, yeah.
On track? Okay.
She's keeping on track online.
Yes.
So you guys have the proposed, I know this sounds hard, you guys have the proposed commercial building there, it's supposed to be daycare. What does it say if it's not adopted and goes under business in 2 years, it's not a gas station?
We had to file deed restrictions with this that can't be changed, that are, the township trustees are signatory to. So we're bound by that.
Yeah, when it went through with the single use, which was a daycare.
Actually,
That's
it's
the only
two
thing
uses.
permitted.
It could be a doctor's office or that.
Yes,
Oh,
doctor's office
doctor's
or, yes.
Yeah, whenever we approve commercial developments, and it's a very big process, so I'm not gonna do it justice here, but there are certain codes that as the developer comes in, they request, and we kind of have a catalog of what's acceptable. And they typically can't say all of the above, right? They kind of have to come in and designate what they're going to do. And like you said, if something happens in the future, an applicant could buy it and file for a change of use, but that's not any kind of guarantee.
I'll make sure I pay close attention.
Okay. Talk about, Chancellor's break tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to approve BZC 23001 filed by CBS Construction LLC, 7864 Gateway Lane, Howell, Ohio 43065. Applicant's submittal of a final development plan for 20 single-family lots on parcel number 4183-2001-001-005, Iowa, Delaware, Ohio 43015, plus or minus 15.2 acres, zoned R3 PRD, known as Oaks at Berlin.
A second.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. DeChristopher,
Yes.
Ms. Slows,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
So, your application has been great. Thank you for all the work you did towards getting this, to making this happen.
Thank you for your patience with us getting to the point of making it happen.
And for having all the detail there.
We like the details.
Yes,
Although, could you increase your font by 2 points?
I could, because I can't see it either. Well, it's 11 by 17, so I don't disagree. Yes, I don't disagree.
I'm okay except for on the 8.5 by 11. Before you go though, here 1 second, we have some positions that are open. We have zoning alternate positions. We have 2 technically.
I don't know about E.
Okay, so we have at least one. We have at least one. There may be 2. And we have a zoning inspector position that is open as well. And you can call Kathy and she can tell you all about it. But this gives, yes, we can absolutely. So they do like, from a zoning perspective, from a board perspective, they do like to have us sprinkled throughout the township. So that's where unfortunately it sounds like maybe we've had a little bit of a issue so far, is because we've all been, the additional people that have been interested have been from where we're higher concentrated already, and they like to sprinkle us so that we get, an idea, more of a representation from more neighborhoods and rural, because I'm rural. But yeah, so Jerry Valentine is filling in right now as he's the assistant zoning inspector, but he is the zoning inspector right now. His hours resigned and moved on to a wonderful opportunity for himself. So please call Kathy if you are at all interested in any of those. And we would love to have, this gives you a good taste, basically. We have, sometimes we have no one come to meetings, sometimes we have a large number, sometimes we have a lot of people really passionate, other times they just listen. So thank you for being more passionate today. You will find if you come to more meetings, we will have some more people are extremely passionate. So thank you very much. But yes, please contact Kathy if you have any interest at all in seeing more of what we do and interest in positions, because we would like to have more people involved.
Yeah, the zoning commission is just a couple of nights a month, right?
It's
So-
second and fourth Fridays. Oh my gosh, Fridays, Tuesdays. Second and fourth Tuesdays. And we always start at 7, we are not always finished at 9. But it's the meetings from 7 to 9.
Is your inspector a civil engineer?
No.
And there is information also on the website. a little bit of detail, as well as if you want to see more than just today's meeting, there are YouTube. You can see
We're
the
on
trustee.
YouTube and Facebook and watch all the meetings.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah, the zoning inspector is a full-time
Full-time
position.
position.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, and then the assistant position was created because it was too much work for one person, so that's why an assistant position was created.
The trustees have been on both positions. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys. Everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Do you have on our agenda?
I appreciate it.
So we have next
Well, there's study before, so yes, they absolutely.
Oh, you can't do
it.
I want to hear us say 3 minutes recess.
3 minutes.
So when
They
they,
want the 6 hours of meeting.
as a commercial.
Like they bring on an all-time to the meetings.
That regard, it's information, how long you're interested in.
I mean, I'm interested just to see.
It's like a really important thing. We're gonna have kids walking across the crosswalk in school. That's scary.
Yeah, I got 2 young kids.
No, oh God, no, especially in one week. Down further, the thought of kids walking across, I'm like, Patton said, hey, they're straight across, so they're perfect. But it's like, yeah,
If you,
yeah. Yeah,
Still
but-
need people in those buses.
That's, unless they have a crossing. No, oh, yeah.
So my wife.
What if the developers come in and do a profit off of the school first, and then.
No, it's not safe.
My backyard, we're gonna percent of my impact. They're trying to actually get this sold. They're actually trying to do
I have a lot of success with adding on.
But the numbers are high.
That new, 40, 50 kids that aren't even from the story. 40, 50 people conversing down the aisle and adding stuff. So with Lenny, our meeting place, I don't know why, it used to be on Friday.
Nobody seems to ever get.
It's regular about hours.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get that move. But we honestly weren't sure if you might even consider putting a, down that system there.
That would be nice. I
From
don't
where I
know.
grew up,
I know one that was in developers. Not that ours are.
So, I don't know if roads would, and that's the county, so.
Okay. We are officially out of recess, so.
I can remediate it.
Yeah.
And I think that it should be.
I would say definitely call Kathy and hopefully something that we can bring up and just us more.
Because I think it would create a lot of opportunity, it would create a lower threshold for crossing, and create a safer path for
Yes,
crossing. And
absolutely.
then you have it direct around the school.
Yeah.
Right.
He called me, yeah, I know, they called him up, message, but he called back. And, so 3 or 4 days for him to get back.
And,
Must be, I think,
to lose what you got. Excited for Gregory.
It's kind of a
then
night.
I think we can-
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's it. Any questions, sincerely, but I sincerely just trying to figure out the process.
We appreciate that. We really do.
Because it is not an easy process to
You're right, I work with degree in political science, but I just don't know like how this stuff works.
This is the sausage making, just where it starts.
Yeah. So
You guys are the guys, right?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
That's a, honestly, that's a great thing to talk to the trustees about. Yeah.
what is the best timing on it?
I would honestly contact Kathy and she can
Okay.
put you in, probably with Megan or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's that?
Kathy's the gatekeeper.
Kathy's the
Township.
Kathy's the queen.
Yeah.
Gotta go with
The
Kathy.
zoning queen.
Yeah.
But I, like I said, I think that our entire HOA, I can speak on behalf of them, are very interested in getting some of these things under control in terms of the traffic issues.
Yeah.
Obviously moving our signage and then, how can we, offset some of this land that had purpose when it was originally presented to us, but
Exactly.
it's now null and
No,
void.
not, yeah,
And we're paying for irrigation, all kinds of stuff because we had signage there.
yeah,
And it's just,
No, there's not.
it's ramping up our HOA dues for
Yeah.
no value.
yeah, no, agreed.
Get on that HOA board, take over.
I am.
Yeah.
I speak on behalf of the HOA.
All right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. We do have an informal request with Mr. Iron here and Mr. Ford at 5361 State Route 37 East, Delaware, 43015. Okay, gentlemen, what do you got?
Good evening. Thank you for your time. We'll try to be brief. We just want to pick your brain a little bit and get some direction from you. We've had some conversations, I think Darcy and Jerry and we met, a month or two ago. And we're getting ready to make an application, but we need a little bit of help. With that as an introduction, this is Archie Ford. This is my client. Archie has been a client of mine. He's probably one of my favorite people that I've had as a friend and as a client. And for 20 years, and this kind of gives you an idea how long I must be getting, either that or I started really young. But almost 20 years ago today, we started the zoning process for his property up on State Route 37. And we rezoned it 20 years ago. As we told Darcy and Jerry, for the life of us, none of us can remember why we only zoned half of this property. And for the life of us, in hindsight, we wish we would have included the whole thing because it simply made sense. Archie has run his business. Archie does phenomenal, his company does phenomenal concrete work. And he's run his business up there for about 20 years. Before that, he was in Sunbury?
No, I was in Powell.
In Powell. So he saw the benefit of moving to Berlin Township, and if you didn't know his business was there, which you may not, it's because he doesn't really cause a lot of stir. There's very minimal impact, traffic-wise, infrastructure-wise. For a long time, we had the junkyard as his eastern neighbor, and I think is that turning to a concrete batch plant, or is that?
Well, that,
Ever been
I think
solved?
that's off the table for right
Okay.
now, but if you still did go ahead and clean the.
Yeah, we did clean it up. But,
Very nice, they did a great job.
yeah,
It looks a lot better.
Yes.
It does. Smells a lot better.
but for 20 years, he's been a good neighbor, and about 12 years ago or so, they came in, and Archie, being a good neighbor, wanted to open up his garage, the garage bays of his warehouse for local gymnastics clubs, and that's what for 12 years they've been doing. So if you do the research, there are 2 applications in his file. One is from 2003, which was me. In 2012, he came in and just added that use into the permitted uses, and that's probably the extent of everything in his file.
Kathy did it for me.
Gatekeeper.
Not only did she have 3 jobs like today, she had that one too.
She walked me through it.
So in 2003, the zoning text for we were zoning plain commercial office. The zoning text was much simpler and much more ambiguous, if you will. It was not nearly as concise as it is today. And nor should it have been. What you've done with revising the zoning text is a good thing. The one thing I noticed in going through it, though, is the plain commercial, the PCO, or plain commercial, PCD, plain commercial district from 2003, and the permitted uses is actually really more close to the plain industrial district of 2023. And what we wanted to do, and Archie found his copy, I couldn't find mine. I know I have it, so I'm gonna be real kind.
That's because my wife makes me save it.
But be careful with it, because it's probably very strong.
This is the, and the junkyard was here. And if you look, in being a good neighbor, he agreed with ODOT to abandon the cross turn in the island, so there's no longer that. But the drive comes up, it terminates in a roundabout, cul-de-sac here. His septic system is on the north side of his office, his yard is here. The dashed in line is where his warehouse is that became the gymnastics center. And Archie, for 20 years, or better part of 20 years, has stored most of his equipment off-site. He's owned this property for 20 years, and he probably could save some money by just moving it here. It's not like there's a lot of tractors, a lot of noise, and a lot of dirt. He's simply wants to build some storage units in here so he can store his equipment out of the weather. What he'd also like to do is move the warehouse, the gymnastics out of here, and possibly move them up here too. Really, that's the extent of it. This whole northern piece is zoned FR1. The comprehensive plan shows that as residential, however, there's no access to a residential use there. This private drive could come up, service this area up here is right now is farm. There's some wooded area up on the north end, generally drains to the east. Health department has signed off on an on-site septic system there. Our proposal is to not add any more people into the site. It's simply to move the gymnastics people out here, and build a couple garages so he can store his equipment out in an enclosed environment. My question is how do we go about it? We can either come in with a planned commercial district, restrict the permitted uses way back, so they're basically very similar to what we have now, which is taking almost a square peg and forcing it into a square hole. Or we can do a planned industrial district. And I have planned industrial districts that are kind of itchy sometimes. But we still have to identify the same uses. But if you look at the uses in the planned industrial district, the warehousing part of it is permitted there. And we would, as you mentioned earlier, you define exactly what you're going to do in the planned districts, and that's what we would do. So I'm asking of you your thoughts on this, and then also I'm asking you, from your perspective, how would you prefer to see the application if it's planned commercial district scaled way back and targeting uses that really aren't intended to be planned commercial, or you prefer to have it more of a planned industrial district, which is, the storage and everything that Archie needs for this business?
I want to see where, I know exactly where you are, but I want to see, I always forget how close you are to the beginning of the industrial area.
I think that's just right on the corner, right?
Yeah, it's not far.
Almost right now.
Kubota dealership.
Yeah, that's considered industrial. The lot next to me is not considered industrial yet, it's still commercial.
I get nervous about the industrial wording because we try to be very specific in keeping industrial where it was and not anything else to be industrial. So that's why the word going to a planned industrial gives me hives.
That's
Like-
exactly what I'm here.
Yeah.
Archie, I'm with you on this.
So
It's really not industrial, but the verbiage kind of indicates we all.
exactly, yeah. So
So your commercial of 20 years ago would had to pass in an industrial kind of context.
The permitted uses that we were approved for were kind of lean towards industrial, they're
I don't think we've had
Contracting.
industrial in it.
you may not, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did you find your property line? I knew that was one of the.
We found how far back yet.
I thought about that. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
like, yeah,
it's-
the auditors.
it's
might
actually
know that
right.
slide. They just aren't, do they?
Well, the auditor wouldn't have anything to do with the
Well,
zoning.
because of the way they tax it.
Oh, yeah.
Commercial's taxed one
Did you
way,
find
or one's taxed completely different way.
I think so. Is that it right
Usually
there? No, that's, because that's
They're
the,
knowledgeable with that and.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Well, it
this
ended up-
is,
Archie found it.
Okay,
There is a description of the zoning.
okay. Well, that's one.
this is 36,
It's a-
this is 36, 37 right here.
Gymnastics, that, as far as that, industrial,
This is industrial.
is that would
Yes,
fall
this is
under-
all industrial
That'd
right
be
here.
more in line with the
And
commercial, the commercial with the
it
recreation.
basically ends right here, and
I
then
mean,
it
if
goes
you're
across.
planning to do commercial.
This, no, this is,
Commercial would probably fly.
Yeah.
So this is south, this is down. So you're on this side right here.
And then
And
could
it's-
you?
so Baker Road goes right there. This is
If your
Pembroke.
existing property is already zoned, are you, if those
Well,
buildings
the
go
front,
into
the
the.
front half is zone
no,
plan
this
commercial,
is,
the back half is zone, it's FR1.
It's a problem.
Well,
But,
that's-
but your
This
uses
is,
have already been
this
set
right here
Yes.
for those,
Yes.
so that.
North.
So you would just need to do that,
Right.
So
probably.
yeah, you're closer. Oh, yeah.
This
you're
is
closer.
just limits.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so that's what makes me nervous.
That's, I guess.
And if,
Being
if,
so
if there were
far
any
over
changes,
here.
another 20 years, God
I
forbid,
don't know.
we'll come in and have to ask for a change in commercial use.
Yeah.
Quite a few commercial uses.
You want to build like we have.
Specific.
Yeah.
You're pretty limited.
So-
Access.
Yeah.
So.
And we're not a concrete producer ready gas supply.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was when I came in 25 years ago, and I'm like, that's not what, it took me forever to get everybody convinced of what I do.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
I mean, do you, so, cause he's, and you already know this, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know
so
where it
he's
is.
there, yeah, I do too, but when I look at the greater map, I always get confused. So our current industrial is right in here,
Right,
and it just makes me so nervous having something that's plain industrial
Called
over
spot
here.
zoning.
right.
Yeah,
So, I was kind of looking at that.
because industrial comes a little bit over
Isn't
here,
this
yeah.
industrial? This other, right there?
I don't think that, no, that's that. No, this right here, no.
I'm the lot right next to
That's
it.
not, yeah, you're right, yeah, so you're right here, but no, this is industrial right here.
Okay, I thought that.
This-
slash.
This is-
Overlay, commercial overlay.
Yes, this is the commercial overlay, so this is commercial and this is industrial. So
Okay.
that's why it makes me nervous, like saying,
Right
like,
where you fit right, that's me, right?
Yeah. because you would be, you're right in the center of commercial. And that's what scares me is we had to fight off industrial so much. Keep it pushed this way so much that I am worried about than calling that industrial.
Angela, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
Because
so,
when I started reading the text, I looked at the plain, first thing I did is look at the plain commercial, because that's what we were looking
Yeah.
for. And I started reading it, and I started looking at the uses, and I thought, this has changed in 20 years, and it should have changed, in 20
Yeah.
years, it should have changed. But I thought, I don't, and then I went to planned industrial, and there it sits, and I thought, coming in and asking for planned industrial makes me itchy.
yeah.
And it's one of those things, and gosh, 30-some years of professional practice, I may have gotten one or two industrial applications through it. So it's not something that people embrace, and it's not something that people really pursue seriously. A logical planned commercial with restrictions on the permitted uses. And we would clear it through the health department to make sure that they're good with the septic system still. And we obviously, all the other check marks we need to take care of. That would be how I would have envisioned it, but I didn't want to make that call with you guys. You know, I needed your input.
I mean, you could do spot zoning, but,
Spot zoning rarely is successful.
well, I mean, it's so narrow. So here's another question. I think I asked you this before, and I don't remember the answer. You've got 4.2 acres up here.
Uh-huh.
Are there plans to use that? Because could you not use that for what you're talking about and you have to rezone nothing?
That was always intended to be more of the commercial oriented towards the 37 corridor.
So like retail-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what they did, like, you know, they had to give up that easement, which
For the
doesn't
service
that
road.
doesn't play. So that's why I kind of separated, that's why I had to push my stuff to the back.
And, I mean, I'll be honest, I struggle a little bit when you get into the idea that so much of it is already zoned PCD, and then you like split and zone part of it a different zoning. Like, I think that just seems more problematic than trying to get maybe an additional use in a PCD.
Right.
I agree.
Okay.
So in the commercial language, are there use codes that fit into what you want to do?
I believe there are. And I know the recreational side is taken care of. I remember seeing that. There's something in there about warehousing, but it's not as clear as the plain industrial. But we can describe it and work with you to make sure it's defined, that it's exactly
Yeah,
what
because
you
we've run
And
into
what
some
your
controversy about the warehousing,
Yeah.
and AICS.
Yeah, this calls out it would be leasers, mini warehouses and self-storage units.
But it's your own storage, you're not leasing it
Yeah.
out, you're not even.
Right.
It would just be your own building.
It's cold
store your
storage,
own-
it's not heated, it's cold storage.
Yes,
It's
I don't
cold.
even know.
But you're not looking for logistics trucks to be coming and going.
No, it's my
You know,
personal
rotating.
storage for my personal.
The one thing that too, and I've watched Archie over the years, in fact, I was at one of his job sites a couple weeks ago. His equipment typically moves from one job site to the next job site. It doesn't come back to the central office unless there's some maintenance that needs to be done and it's there for months, you know. So it's not, or seasonal, you know, it may move in back for a season, but it's not, like the trucks come and go 4 times a day or something like that. It just doesn't happen.
Can I ask a question? Are your offices also there?
Yes,
Okay, so in other words, you run your business from there?
yes, we do.
Okay, because
Management company?
well, I'm wondering if he's running his business, is the storage associated to it more of an accessory?
Yeah.
In other words, he's not looking for a use to build a building and then lease it out and make it
Yeah,
warehouse storage.
exactly.
That is correct.
He's using it internal, so his existing use for his business, is this more of an accessory structure to support that?
Versus like coming before the zoning code, I know.
It seems like that would.
That, I mean,
The
to
commercial.
fit just for him and only to use it for your own purposes, it would seem to me like that would work. And then it doesn't open it up to, oh, it's warehouse storing and you can do anything that fits
Right.
into that, which tends to cause people a little more concern.
And that's what we propose, would meet Joe Bovich.
But he would just come in and get a zoning permit for a commercial storage for his own
Right, yeah.
It would be an
accessory,
accessory. to what you
accessory
already have.
building.
Yeah,
That's, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure.
So you'd have to rezone the north property and then just do that way.
And then that would allow you to move the
Right.
gymnastics
yeah.
farther back because it would still be the same use.
Right.
And then as long as your offices are there, I think you could do just accessory and build a garage. Because I haven't looked in here to see if for sure if that's permitted from a standpoint of, but I would. I don't know enough.
And he wouldn't need to make application with you guys.
Well, we would, because the
Yeah.
northern property
It
is,
is on there.
It's FR1 right now.
Oh, okay.
And knowing, having done this for a long, long time, that there's never a zoning that's easy. But this would be fairly understandable and simple, straightforward, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know you asked about language, which we really can't provide.
No, I understand
But, you know, it's in the code.
Right.
And obviously, I see about setbacks, things like that.
The one question I had, and I'm glad you brought that up, Darcy, the planned commercial setbacks along a single family property are, I'll say 100 feet.
I have to look it up every time.
Yeah, I know.
Different rules.
Well, the reason that caught my eye is because in the plain industrial, it's relative to the height of the building. In the old plain commercial setback, it's whatever is shown there, I think it's 20 to 30 feet.
I see. Well, I see 30 from the road here.
Yeah. We're not-
This is right
Side,
here.
what's the side?
With side yards, 1/3 sum of height and depth, no less than 100.
Right.
Our time
Same
uses
with
all
rear.
roads.
Oh, or is it the plan?
Yeah.
So it's allowed.
Okay. I mean, the property is so narrow that giving up 100 feet would basically render half of the site.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so, okay. If you took 100 on each side. Thank you for the
You
donation.
stand in the middle.
Okay.
It's a one-lane bowling
Well, we know this is an informal meeting and we know too, your time is valuable, so we didn't want to take a lot of time, but you answered the big question, was it planned industrial versus planned commercial? I hated asking the question, but I felt it was only fair.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Totally fair. And you're looking to rezone this entire, what is it, 12.5 acres? So you're gonna get it done now?
Yeah, I don't know why, I have no idea why.
We've been
Because the
picking our brains.
application,
trying to
we
figure
don't
out
need it.
why.
I'm not involved, I don't do it every day. I don't know how we ended up where we ended up.
Yeah, because like you said, there's just no access. I mean,
I'm trying to accommodate the gymnastics and myself.
Well, that's really nice to hear that you're not kicking the gymnastics out. That's huge. I mean,
I hope you didn't hit that rule.
no, I'm saying
Well,
because.
Misty and I have had that conversation, and
Oh.
she's like, Misty taught my daughters when they were
Mhm.
pee-wees, that's how I'm tied
Yeah.
to Misty. So she's
Yeah.
like my daughter, I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get this taken care of.
Yeah, and it'll be a nice new location for them too. That'll be great.
I don't know how she does what she does with what she has.
Yeah.
Is that building heated where the gymnastics is now?
Yes.
Okay, I know you said it was cold storage, I didn't know how you were.
She had coach of the year that she took to the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just did it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was a big year.
Wow.
You'd be pretty rotten to kick her out now.
I'm like, I'm not kicking her out.
We have friends that they're not even there.
That's a
Yeah.
busy place.
Yeah.
You should, I mean, that's like where the money's at, those
Yeah.
facility for like sports, volleyball.
Yeah.
Build a couple more.
There's a lot. You can.
Yeah, that's why she made my garage work, so I want to build a whole facility that actually fits her needs.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now, is all of this buildable? Like, are these swales or?
Those are
wetlands?
soil lines.
Okay.
There's about a 2%, at least a 2% cross slope. There's nothing real steep in there.
Okay.
Part of it is farmed, the rest of it is wooded.
Yeah, I got woods back here.
And we've been back through there and hydrology is good, the soil's fine. So it's all in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, you have to figure out your building envelopes and stuff, but I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wondered if the fire department's gonna have much to say. I don't know about this cul-de-sac, if that would fly now. So it doesn't look very big.
No.
So that's another
We'll
thing
do-
you'll have
yeah.
to comply with is the current fire
Yeah.
stuff. And you know that, but that looks very small.
We'll be working with them and probably the next stop would be to just go talk to Scott Sanders and make sure he's on board. But we'll mention that we've had a good good discussion with you. The intent is to get this in soon because the gymnastics coach and the young ladies need the help, need the facility.
We can just use the parking lot, it's gonna get warm.
Not so we're very good.
Once you run that fast, the new speed,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's generous of you to look out for them, and hopefully they meet your needs, and, fit in our zoning. I think it sounds good.
Cool. Thank you for your
Okay,
time.
we look forward to hearing what you got. Okay.
Very much.
Glad you had your plat. That was good.
Your wife is smart.
Right for that.
A fine line between hoarding and important things.
I can't believe how good a shape that paper is still in from 2003.
Whoever prepared this is right.
Ah, there you go. His name all over it, that's okay.
And watch this. Here's your copy back. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank
Thanks, Ken.
Bye, Tony.
Okay.
Good luck on your new job.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, good night.
Okay, so I have on our agenda next up to discuss work sessions. I really wish I had brought this up at the last meeting. I'm so excited, it really was. I was giddy. Doing that for so many years. I know Tara in particular brought up what we would do as far as work sessions. And I don't know if you guys have kind of brainstormed, are there any things that come to mind that you in particular want to bring to our meetings to discuss, or pontificate about yourself, or, I mean, one of the things that's always been, for me, when I first get my hands on development, is many times they'll give us net density and gross density, and I am always looking at that and saying, well, what's the buildable area? You know, it's,
Yes.
it feels like there's a lot of ambiguity there to me, and when it comes to numbers, I want solid stuff.
Yes.
So that's something for me, that, then you take out 15% for roads, or wetland, or, I don't know. I mean, it's actually pretty straightforward, but it doesn't seem like we always have what we need to kind of evaluate. So that's one of my little picadillos. I know Tara has some landscaping kind of things, and, it's interesting to me, in a way, when like they were asking about buffering. You start out with a 2-inch caliber tree, it's supposed to grow to 20 feet, you don't have a overplant, it's gonna be sparse at first. How do you address that with residents, those concerns? Mix between deciduous and evergreens, I don't know. So, do you guys have things that?
I mean, so two-part here. Does this mean that we can get together and discuss these things ahead of time?
Not really.
Or,
We still have to do it as in a public
In
body,
front,
it
yes.
has to be
Okay,
published.
but we can learn together.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
obviously, we're never gonna wanna be in a position where we're trying to influence somebody's thought
No.
process or something. But, it's fair to talk about, or if you sort of have a question, or you feel like something's ambiguous. And it's interesting, we just talked about the industrial and some of the ambiguities there. I know we've all had chatting about, the OCPUD, like some of the, I don't wanna say ambiguities, just, like, how do we think, what's our thought process? So, but I'd like to take maybe at each meeting when we have time. I mean, our meetings go until midnight. I really don't want to give up 15 minutes to talk about everything else. But can we do 10, 15-minute snippets on topics that we would like to investigate deeper?
I think that's the way to
Yeah.
start, and kind of take it to see how that starts, and would it,
Yeah.
because then you get a feel for, all right, we say 10 to 15, but do we really need 30?
Well, maybe.
And,
Yeah.
and does it become a regular agenda? Becomes a regular agenda item, and we try to, when we can, we set a topic. Other times it's maybe just open discussion.
And I don't have a problem with open discussion, although I don't feel like I can prepare for it.
Yeah.
Need to, but I like this because we do have a wide variety of perspectives. Everybody kind of looks at it a little differently. I learn something new every time. I kind of like it. So, do we want to maybe start an email correspondence? Everybody pick one topic, and let's just next time throw it out there and see if we can kind of solidify it a little bit. I'll send an email and ask for ideas. And Kathy, if you don't mind, we do want to give each agenda just a few minutes towards the end. Just a dialogue.
So our next meeting will be, since because we don't have one,
It'll be April 9th,
yes.
and it'll be Todd and, oh gosh, I just forgot her name. She's gonna be in since next 19th, submitting the revisions for that peach block.
Yeah,
I was hoping to get that a little early. I leave the 22nd.
well, no, because Tara leaves. Tara, are you still on there?
You guys need to get, the books a little bit in time before that.
Tara, what, I can text you too.
Oh my goodness.
What day do you leave? Because I thought she said she left on Wednesday.
I'm leaving for 2 weeks. I do have a girl that's gonna work.
Yeah, I thought she said that she was leaving Wednesday, 20th. Yep, I was right. Thank you. Yeah, she leaves on the 20th. So they're going to, yeah, they said they would have it to us by then. So the
She said
19th.
by the end of the day on the 19th,
Okay.
today, or when I gave her the
Okay.
old books.
So she would have all of the books here by the end of the day. So we would have to just be here at the end of the day to pick them up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, she said, we joked about it being my play material.
But there's gonna be somebody covering the office from like 9 to 2, 2 weeks that I'm gone.
Okay,
I'm sorry. No, the 19th.
The 19th,
Those
yeah.
are supposed to be
yeah.
It's end of day.
Okay,
the revisions.
so do we have time to put it on our first one on the calendar on April 9th then?
On this work session,
Mm-hmm. With that
that's
one?
gonna be,
That's gonna be a long meeting.
that's gonna
I think
be,
that's gonna be kind of.
Yeah.
that's 3 rezones. And I still don't know if well, I don't know, it went pretty well, the first meeting. We'll see how he does. with
Yeah, they've got
these
some revisions
Yeah.
to make, so it depends on
But it seemed like it went pretty well.
how we receive this. I think it's a maybe good time to pick some topics and sort of maybe
Okay,
each of us can spearhead the discussion, I guess, or
okay.
we can maybe take assignments or something else. But if it's beastly, I'm happy to skip it too.
Okay,
Because, yeah, those meetings that go to 11:30, I just don't have to be in there by the end of the night.
No,
Much else
nobody's-
thoughtfully. So,
yeah, Tara said, I thought they were supposed to have it by the 18th.
She said tonight, the
Yeah.
19th. I don't know, I could look what it says in the minutes, but.
She said tonight, the 19th.
Well, Kathy, we don't have a zoning inspector. Jerry's probably out there, but he's not texting me.
I mean,
Anything else?
I don't know what, I think the one guy was more for zoning. Zoning.
You wanna think about it?
Maybe, yeah.
But again, he lives in Glenmead, and with Jenny, they're pretty close together. And where I heard.
I mean, what do we do if nobody else is
I
interested
know.
though? Like, at what point do we?
That's the thing, is we have to,
I think
We love
regardless of
somebody.
location, if he's interested, we,
yeah,
I mean, the one guy was really interested
I know, I
in
think-
Harbor Point.
I think, Megan.
And that was
So that was
down.
because he lives close by you. She wants,
Diversity.
I mean, that would be nice, but
yeah.
well, but there were 3 of us then on that side. Versus close to Jenny, because Tara's not right there, so that would be 2 of you really close. You're
we're not
further,
really close to.
yeah, you're further, no, I mean, you and this guy does,
Right.
he's on me.
Yeah.
But Harbor Point, the 3 of us are too close then, so.
maybe it would be a problem.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd like to have somebody who's interested in good, so.
And then today, at the end of the day, Berlin Farms West dropped off a binder of like 6 or 7 final development plans in one application. I don't know about that yet.
Are they phases or?
I haven't even looked at it. I'm just
Wow.
trying to decide,
Yeah,
do I charge like for each final development, or since it just came in one application? I don't know. I was gonna ask you tonight, Darcy, when you were in the office, and I forgot. I was gonna show
I
you
think that might be a
that.
Jerry question, I don't know.
I
I mean,
know.
if they're separate developments, that sounds separate to me. Well, if it's phasing, that might be
Yeah.
They've
different.
got different sections, and they've only been doing one final development at a time. Now they've just, they're selling like,
Are they?
oh
See,
yeah,
I'd heard rumors that it had stalled.
not Berlin Farms, Berlin Farms and Berlin Farms West. I don't know if it's because it's so close to the high school. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the Maeve Meadows is almost on.
I was gonna say, I cannot believe how,
And they're jumping on Berlin
Yeah.
Bluffs to get the infrastructure in so they can get started.
I was kind of surprised that they hadn't started the infrastructure already
That's
for
what I was
it.
surprised about. It seems
Yeah.
like they like wanted to get everything under wraps over at maybe
Yes.
before they really got.
And it's almost, it's almost
There,
done.
yeah.
It's sold. I mean, the lots are selling,
Yeah.
except for, I don't know about this across the street. It started picking
Except for
up.
Howard Farms.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know.
So what I can tell you is that what I am seeing is if people build, they would rather make their own decisions. There are cases where the spec homes, but there's a decent number of builders that are doing spec homes. And that's okay, but not everyone wants that. They want to more design. And not even so much design, but more like pick out their floor plan.
Mhm.
So it's because the finishes that they're putting them are nice, there's so many choices. But you're stuck with that floor plan on that lot, and maybe that wasn't what you would have done, right? So,
Because I think at Howard Farms, the one that's right across our house, it's been sitting empty for.
That green one?
is it a ranch?
No, it's 2-story. It looks kind of, yeah, it's 2-story.
So I don't know.
I think at this, price point they're getting into, like,
Yeah.
it's that point where, if you buy it, you don't sell it.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
forced by timing, and you just don't
Exactly.
have the time.
Yeah,
So, it makes sense that,
yeah.
what I want, I'm getting those price ranges,
Yes.
so.
Have you noticed them they cut down the trees today, all the.
I was surprised that they cut down that many trees. Like, I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Why do they do that?
Because they're widening Cheshire Road. I'm just so excited, my weeping willow tree didn't go. We were smart and put it back far enough, so. But Steve was afraid to leave work or leave the house the day that they took down that great big oak tree that's real close to the road. Cause he's like, I could just imagine coming home and them cutting that down by mistake.
Oh, jeez.
But
gosh.
they didn't, so it's fine. But I mean, all from that roundabout, well, they got to just down to Devonshire.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Because they're supposed to start at late spring, early summer.
It's gonna be a nightmare.
Can you guys adjourn so we can turn that?
Yes, okay, well, we don't have anything else, I don't believe, so
So,
let's adjourn, and we will see you all back April 9th. Have a good spring break.
happy spring break.
So
But anyways, yeah.
I
So, since I missed.
was hoping that they would start